Hi everybody, it's David from Treasure Coast Tackle, and a little bit different background than what you're used to seeing when you see our videos, but we figured this would be a great place to introduce some of the new products from Monster 3X because, hey, the sky's the limit with these baits and the different things that you can do with them. What better place than in the Great Smoky Mountains to show you that. First thing we're going to talk about is the 2.5-inch Ultrasoft. This little bait is going to be killer in the dock lights. We've caught some fish with it in there already. We're rigging that up on a little ball head jig with no collar, just like you're used to seeing with all the Monster 3X products. We're just skin hooking it right through the top of the shrimp. Let him stick out the top, and there you go. That is going to be a dock light killer right there. Fantastic little bait. The next thing we're going to be showing you is the frog. This is the X Frog from Monster 3X. This is going to be a little bit different than a lot of the frogs on the market. You see, it doesn't have the big paddle legs on it, so it's not going to make a lot of disturbance in the water, like you're used to seeing with a lot of the topwater frogs. If you use a weightless hook on this, it's going to stay on top. You're going to have to give it some action when you work it. If you work it with some twitches, it's just going to scoot along the top. It's a very subtle, very natural approach. This is going to be killer in freshwater, and I think even some of the saltwater guys are gonna like this bait a lot. If you're down in South Florida with snakeheads, that's going to be a snakehead killer right there. The biggest thing we like about it, I've got it rigged up on one of our standard belly weighted hooks. But the biggest problem with any frog is always the nose rips out after you catch a few fish. So let's take a look and see how strong this one's going to be. That nose ain't going to rip out. You're going to catch fish after fish after fish, and the nose of that frog is not going to rip out. And you can see even after stretching it, that material still goes back and grabs the shank of that hook. So it's going to give you a lot of different options as to how you can rig it. You can put a little weight on there like we have this one. Fish it down a little bit under the surface. But that's going to be a killer right there. That's going to be available very soon for pre-order. The next couple baits we're going to talk about are ones that a lot of guys have seen some of us throwing them as prototypes, and that's going to be the Paddle X. It's a big weedless paddle tail. It's got the big cavity in the bottom so that you can rig it up weedless a lot easier than, say, the Slim Shad or some of the solid body baits. Now you can rig this up on the same belly weighted hook just like we did on the frog. Let me show you how that's going to rig up. Pin right through the nose, right through the cavity in the belly. Pretty standard setup. And you're going to have a very weedless paddle tail with that setup right there. Now the way that I've been using it the last few times I've been out, that's been very, very good. Take a standard jig head. This is the poison tail jig from Teenage Jigs. It's got the collar on it. And normally with any Monster 3X products, you're going to struggle to get it over that collar. But since this is open in the bottom, and you've just got a little bit of material in the nose that you've got to get it through, watch what this does. Got to push it through. This you are going to be able to get if you work it back and forth a little bit. You'll be able to get it over there. If you're throwing it in the dock lights, if you're throwing it where you're going to have to skip it. Now we've got it through there. We're going to spin it around. This takes a little more effort than the weedless does, but once you get it on there and you're done with it, you've got it on the jig head now. Now it sits perfect on the jig head, and the thing I like about it is that collar sticks through and it's never going to pull off. So it is, if you rig these up before you get out there on the water, rig them up at home, get your 2 or 3 colors rigged up on a standard jig head. You can rig it up just like that and throw it on a regular jig head. It swims perfect. It's not going to slide down. There's not a lot of material there to keep that thing stuck on the jig. Once you set the hook, all that's going to ball up out of the way and you're going to get a good solid hook set. If your hook does happen to pop out, it's not going to matter because it ain't going to pull off. I mean, it's going to take you a little bit extra work, but it's not pulling off. And you can do the same thing with the new jerk bait, the M Action. Now this is going to be something that is going to be very similar to the X-Swim. If you guys have been using the X-Swim, this is one you're definitely going to want to take a look at. Again, it's designed to be rigged up weedless, cavity in the belly, and you can do the same thing with it. You can put it on the weighted hook. Have your perfectly rigged weedless setup. Or if you like to throw it on the jig head, you can use a regular standard jig head. Again, takes a little bit of work to get over that collar, but once it's on there, you can just spin it around right through the top. And you can rig it up on the jig head. And that should work with any of your standard jig heads. Again, that collar will stick right through the back side of the plastic, so you're not going to have an issue with the bait sliding down as you're working it. It's going to stay on there. That's 4 new products that's going to be coming from Monster 3X. You're going to be able to pre-order those from TreasureCoastTackle.com. We're looking at roughly about 3 weeks before we see those here, and you're going to want to get in on them. They're coming in a limited quantity, so if you like these baits, if you see something here that you'd like to try out, you're going to want to get on those on pre-order, and that way you don't miss out. You can always contact us, David at TreasureCoastTackle.com, through email. We're always on Facebook, Treasure Coast Tackle. You can follow us on Instagram. We are at Treasure Coast Tackle, and on Twitter it's at TCoast Tackle. Appreciate you watching the video. Get in some Monster 3X. See you guys on the water.